All right, welcome to this quick little lesson on kind of dividing up number lines for fractions as well as placing numbers, reading numbers off of a number line. So what I know here is that I've shown you here in between, this is 0 and this is 1, and we're going to split this up. So I'm just going to make up a couple of examples here. Let's say that you want to divide this into 5 pieces. So we'd be talking in fifths, and then we would label them. So you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure. And you're going to find about 5 equal pieces. So let's say if you had like 8 centimeters in between, you take your calculator and go 8 divide by 5 to see like how much space is in between. You want to find the equal pieces. Okay, so like I said, take your calculator, measure it out, divide it by the number of pieces that you want, and then you'll figure out about how much each one is. It's okay if you're not perfect, but you want to be about. So on this one, I'm wanting to divide. So I don't think you can see my ruler on the screen maybe, but I've got about 16 centimeters. And so each 16 divided by 5 gives me 3.2. So I'm going to make each one a little past 3 centimeters. So there's one there, and there's one there. Oops, sorry, it kind of jumps to the ruler. 1, 2, 1 there, 1 there. So it's actually only 4 tick marks, right? But then the 5th piece is there. So you can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes I kind of think about it in terms of like, if you imagine if you had this as a rectangle, if you did between 0 and 1, always find between 0 and 1, and then you're splitting it up into 5 pieces like that. Okay, so now when we go to label this, imagine like if you normally count on a number line, you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 0 fifths. So this is 1 fifths, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths, and 5 fifths, which is 1. Okay, let's say here between 0 and 1, if I wanted to make thirds. So again, if I've got 16 in between, and I'm making thirds, that means each one is just slightly past 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, a little over 5 centimeters is going to get me there. 1, 2, 3, 4, a little over 5 centimeters is going to get me there. So I've got pieces there. And if I was labeling these into thirds, I would have this first one be 0 thirds, and then I would have 1 thirds and 2 thirds. Keeping in mind if you had something like say sixths, I maybe should have done one like that, then you would read, if I was at the 4th sixths, you would reduce that, okay? Okay, let's peek. Let's look now at if I had this, if this was my number line, and I wanted to place, say, negative 2 thirds on the number line. So we can have negative fractions as well as positive fractions. It just means you're on the other side of 0. So I'm going to go into the negatives, right? And this is split into thirds. I want to count negative 1 thirds, negative 2 thirds would go right there on my number line. Okay, if I wanted to put positive 1 third on, well, that means I have to go the opposite direction from 0, and I want to go to the first one, which would be 1 thirds, right? This would be 1 third and 2 thirds. This would be negative 1 third and negative 2 thirds. Okay, if I had something like this, where I've got it between 1, 2, and 3, again, this one is split into thirds, so you might be given an improper. Maybe I want to put 2 and a third on, so that means I'm going to go to the number 2 and then go 1 third of the way, so that would be there, 2 and a third. The ones that are a little bit trickier are things like if I had, say, 8 thirds, okay, because that is a mixed fraction, so you may want to convert that into, or sorry, that's an improper, you may want to convert that into a mix, so that would become 2 and 2 thirds. That was in one of our last lessons, so that would go here. That would be my 8 thirds or 2 and 2 thirds. Okay, so that's just a quick lesson about kind of labeling and reading fractions onto number lines. So I want you to go ahead and do the practice sheets on that now.